Okay, welcome to this edition of the SA Crypto Market Analysis. It's Tuesday afternoon, 30th of April. There is a public holiday tomorrow, Wednesday, the 1st of May, which is Workers' Day. So happy Workers' Day to everyone. Hope you had a good one. And so this may be released on Thursday morning. Apologies for that if you're getting it a bit late, but hey, better late than never. And so of course we have our financial analyst with us, Graeme Tennant. And Graeme, a little bit of action after a couple of days of stagnation in the market. Just take us through what's happening and whether you'd like to confirm if we have actually bottomed out on the Bitcoin price.
Okay, cool. So yeah, let's start on a bigger time frame. We'll start on the daily and then we'll zoom in to some of the shorter time frames because that's where there's been a little bit of action.
Okay.
So let's look at the bigger time frame. We're on the daily chart here, and let's address your question about the bottoming out thesis. So in my opinion, I would not be surprised if this structure or this pattern that we have right at the bottom of the chart here is a bottoming pattern. For me, it's doing everything it's supposed to do. After we've discussed this at length in previous videos, we had this resistance level, we broke through it with a beautiful green daily candle, and we've remained above that level comfortably for almost a month now. So, and this is a really nice rounded bottom here. So if you want to get more technical, you could call this an Adam and Eve bottom. So that would be your Adam and that's your Eve. And that's a textbook bottoming pattern. So I still believe that the chances that we've seen the bottom are higher than the chances that we now fall below that structure again. So I'm wearing my bullish hat, and so far I think from a bullish perspective, so good. So as long as this remains intact for now, and we'll talk about some of the various levels that might further confirm or pour doubt on this matter, but for now I see every reason to be bullish.
Wow, okay, so how would you respond to Vinnie Lingham, obviously one of certainly South Africa's biggest crypto influencers, saying that he doesn't believe the crypto winter's over? He posted a tweet this morning saying that we need to pass $6,200 to confirm a reversal. Do you think 6,200 is a bit high, or how would you respond to that kind of comment? Because Vinny has been pretty bearish in the last year or so, which is understandable, but how would you respond?
So 6,000 and 6,200, that zone, and I've highlighted that here by this top green area, so this top area which is now blue,
a purpley color.
Blue color, and that's going to be a crucial area because that's where we had such a strong support level last year. So of course this is going to act as strong resistance, at least we expect it to act as strong resistance on the way up. And we're still making our way up there, and yes, it has been slow the last couple of days or weeks. But look, we can only know for sure once we get to those levels, and then we can start to see the price action at those levels. Technical analysis is not it's not fortune telling. You really are trying to look for the clues that the chart's going to tell you or indicate to you, and then making calls accordingly.
Right.
So absolutely, we need to break through that level in order to really confirm that this market is now a full-blown bull market. But the problem is, with trading, is that you can't wait, and oftentimes you can't wait for absolute confirmation before entering into the market. Sometimes you need to take a bit of a risk, or a bit of a gamble. Obviously, you need to weigh up your risk and reward ratios, etc., etc. But at some point in time, you need to make a call and get in early before you miss the boat completely.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying. This is it's a case of, well, we've got to look at the signs, and the signs are there that there's a very good chance we have bottomed out, and therefore we can start making some further calls. But now take us through some of those further calls based on what you're seeing on the shorter time frame.
Great. So let's jump into a 4-hour time frame, and here we just have a more close-up view of this break of that resistance level. And from here we've gone pretty much sideways. We highlighted in the previous episode that we had upward movement of price, and we had the RSI falling. So that is a bearish
divergence.
It's a bearish divergence, 100%, and that was something that we were concerned about and wary of, and we did then get a pretty big spill to the downside, which is to be expected. And remember that just because we get that spill doesn't mean that we need to panic and say it's now a bear market. It just means that we have to take stock at that point in time, and the market is allowed to take a breather because the market doesn't move in straight lines.
I just want to jump in quickly on that spill. That spill was coincided with the news of the Bitfinex investigation by the New York Attorney General's office, the statement that they made about Bitfinex.
Right.
Now, was that a reaction by the market, or was that because so many traders were already waiting to hit the sell button because of that bearish divergence that they were seeing? Was it a combination of the fundamental news and what the charts were telling the traders?
Yeah, look, so I think that move is, in my opinion, very much a fundamental move, because prior to that big spill, if we have a look at this point in time before that spill took place, I was pretty bullish, because we looked like we were setting up for potentially a decent upside move from that point in time, and to look to break the previous high, because as we were moving up here, we had consistent higher highs, higher lows.
Yes.
And this was a new higher low at this point in time, and the natural thing to expect would be a push up and a continuation of that trend.
Right.
Then I think it was the Wall Street Journal that came out and said this is the issues we have with Tether, and the price fell accordingly. So that was disappointing. And one has to also scratch your head and wonder what type of motivation there was for the Wall Street Journal to release that article at that specific point in time when we were looking like we could actually push to new highs.
Very interesting.
I'll leave that to the listeners to make up their mind about that.
Okay, so continue with where you were going. So looking at the shorter time frame now, you're on a 4-hour time frame, I think it is there. Take us through what you're seeing.
Cool. So after we got the spill to the downside, now you obviously have to be cautious, because you're waiting to see, is this going to cause further contagion in the market, or is this the first down leg move of more negative price movement, or is the market going to recover from there? So what we saw is a sideways action, and I'm going to go in even closer here so we can get an even closer view on the hourly time frame. And what we saw here is that volatility got really low and the price was squeezing. As we can see, it's denoted by these support and resistance trend lines. And when we see the contraction of price, we know that there's going to be a significant move either way. So, and again, your rule of thumb when it comes to these triangle patterns is that what the price action does going into the triangle is what you should expect to come out of the triangle. So in this scenario, we had a downward movement into the triangle. So on balance of probability, I'd say that we should expect a downside move, but that's not what we got. We got an upside break, which is great from a bullish perspective. And once we broke that upper trend line level, I did enter a long trade earlier today, and fortunately, it's playing out quite nicely for now. So now we need to look at this and say, well, this is actually quite a bullish move for the short term. And I think the conflicting part was that, again, if you look at the daily chart, we're looking bullish, but this was, generally a bearish pattern. So you have these contradicting signals from the market. Yeah. But ultimately, this looks like it's the way that the market wants to move, and that's to the upside in the short term. We've broken out here nicely, and I expect us to continue this move, at least till I would say the 5,400 level. That's where I've got take profit orders set up on my long trade here. So yeah, touch wood, we'll see how this one plays out.
All right, well, there we go. Looking at a 5,400 sort of resistance for the current rally, and let's see if that plays out. You've been pretty right so far this year, and we'll see if your record stays intact, although obviously this is, as you say, this is quite it's not a perfect science.
100%.
So so you're drawing the resistance line there.
Yeah, so I think that's our next obvious resistance level. So you could expect some profit taking there and some selling. And yeah, if it reaches that level, I'm happy to take my profits, and then we'll look for the next trade.
And I would imagine that that zone up here is the equivalent of the beginning of this triangle. Is that right? So that's the distance. Is that sort of what you're basing that on?
So here,
or is that because of this this support in this area here?
Here I'm really just eyeballing these previous low points.
Okay.
And as far as the structure is concerned, that's why I expect the sell orders to be. I did measure the base of the triangle from various points earlier. It didn't exactly line up with that point, so that's my default to take profit is that previous support or resistance.
Right.
Yep, 100%.
Got it. Well, Graeme, thanks so much for your insight on this episode. And I'm away next week, so maybe you can give us a voice note or two. Otherwise, we'll certainly catch you in the early parts of within the next 2 weeks or so. Graeme, thank you very much.
Thanks, James. Enjoy your time off next week.
Yeah, thanks. I certainly will do. That's it for this edition of the SA Crypto Market Analysis. Please subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on Twitter, SA Crypto _ and of course we are on Instagram, SA Crypto ZA. And of course Graeme is on Twitter, so you can try get hold of him. It's not every day he's on Twitter, but he is there, and you can find him at Graeme _ Tennant. Until the next episode, cheers for now.